Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing something crazy. Crazier than usual. We're talking about psychic powers, but not the cool kind. We're diving into the weird and wacky world of laws that a psychic flesh-type man has broken. Yeah, you heard that right. We're talking telekinesis, traffic violations, unauthorized mind reading, and even illegal levitation. You won't believe some of these. Okay, picture this. You're stuck in traffic, right? It's hot, you're late for something super important, like a date with your dream girl, or maybe a chance to win a lifetime supply of pizza. Everyone's been there, am I right? But then imagine instead of just sitting there honking your horn, you could just move the cars with your mind. That's what our boy, let's call him Mindshift Mike, decided to do. Mike here, he's got the power of telekinesis, which is basically like being a mental crane operator, except instead of construction materials, you're moving cars. So Mike's in a hurry, sees the red light, and boom, starts lifting cars and moving them out of his way like a game of Tetris, except with a lot more honking and probably some screaming too. Now you might think, hey, he's a hero, he's ending traffic jams. And yeah, maybe for the people behind him it's a win, but the cops, not so much. See, there are these things called traffic laws, and they're kind of a big deal. They're supposed to keep things from turning into a demolition derby, and when you start tossing cars around with your brain, well, let's just say it ruffles a few feathers. So Mike's joyride of telekinetic traffic management came to a screeching halt when a very confused police officer pulled him over. How do you even write that ticket? Driving under the influence of my mind? Mike's case became a whole legal debate about whether telekinesis counts as driving, and trust me, the lawyers had a field day with that one. The lesson here, as tempting as it is to just move things with your mind, maybe stick to using your blinker. It's less likely to land you in court. All right, let's talk about something we've all secretly wished for. Reading minds. Imagine knowing what people are really thinking. Want to know if your crush likes you back? Bam. Read their mind. Curious about what your grandma got you for your birthday? Sneak a peek inside that brain of hers. Well, our boy, let's call him Psychic Pete. He had this power, and let me tell you, it got him into some sticky situations. See, Pete had zero chill when it came to mind reading. He treated the entire world like his own personal audiobook, constantly flipping through people's thoughts without their permission. He'd be walking down the street, picking up snippets of conversations, secret crushes, and even that embarrassing thing you did back in middle school. Now, you'd think someone who can read minds would be a master conversationalist, right? Wrong. Pete would just blurt out whatever he picked up, like telling someone, hey, I know you're thinking about that extra donut you ate this morning. Not exactly smooth, Pete. Needless to say, this didn't make him many friends. People started avoiding him like the plague, whispering, don't think about anything, whenever he was around. But things really went south when Pete accidentally accessed the thoughts of, let's just say, a very private individual. Think celebrity gossip, government secrets, the recipe for Coca-Cola, that kind of stuff. Suddenly, Pete became public enemy number one, with everyone from the FBI to alien conspiracy theorists on his tail. Turns out, reading minds is a lot like reading someone's diary. It's all fun and games until you get caught. So the moral of the story is, even if you could read minds, just maybe keep it to yourself. You'll avoid a whole lot of trouble, and you won't have to invest in a tinfoil hat to block out the government's mind-reading rays. Ever since we were kids, we've all dreamed of flying, soaring through the air, feeling the wind in our hair, never having to sit in traffic again. Pure freedom. Well, our next psychic pal, let's call him Soaring Steve, he made that dream a reality. Steve could levitate, just float through the air like it was nothing. At first, Steve was all about keeping it low-key, just a little hop here, a little float there. But then Steve got a little ambitious. He started thinking, why take the bus when I can fly myself to work? And so began Steve's daily commute, soaring over rush-hour traffic, dodging pigeons, and probably freaking out a few pilots in the process. Now you might think, what's wrong with a little airborne commute? It's eco-friendly. And you'd be right, except for one tiny detail. The FAA, aka the Federal Aviation Administration, those guys who get really uptight about what flies in their airspace. See, turns out there are a lot of rules and regulations when it comes to flying, even if you're not in a plane. So one day Steve is cruising at a comfortable 200 feet enjoying the view when suddenly he hears the dreaded sound of a helicopter siren. Turns out you can't just bypass airport security by levitating over it. Steve learned the hard way that Even if you can fly, you still need to follow the rules of the sky. The takeaway? Flying might be awesome, but getting arrested for illegal levitation, not so much. Maybe stick to planes, or better yet, those awesome jetpacks they're always promising us in the future. Okay, let's be real. Who hasn't dreamed of walking into a casino and cleaning up? Imagine knowing what cards your opponents are holding, predicting every roll of the dice, basically turning the entire casino into your personal ATM. Well, our next psychic friend, Lucky Larry, he thought he'd found the cheat code to Easy Street. Larry had a knack for ESP, or extrasensory perception, meaning he could sense what others were thinking and feeling. Now, you'd think someone who can literally read minds would be banned from every casino on the planet. And you'd be right, in a world where casinos had any idea what Larry was capable of. But Larry, he was a sly one. He started small, playing low-stakes games, pretending to be just another chump with a gambling problem. But little did the other players know, Larry was cleaning up. He knew when to fold, when to bet big, and when to bluff his way to a winning hand. Word started to spread about this mysterious guy who couldn't lose. People whispered about Larry's legendary luck, calling him things like the psychic player and the man who could see through cards. Larry, loving the attention, started getting bolder, moving to higher stakes tables, playing against professional poker faces and wiping the floor with them. But here's the thing about casinos. They're not in the business of losing money. They've got eyes everywhere, and when someone starts winning consistently, well, let's just say they tend to get a little suspicious. It didn't take long for the casino bosses to catch on to Larry's little gift. Security cameras caught him making uncanny reads on players' bluffs, and rumors of his psychic abilities reached the wrong ears. One night, just as Larry was about to rake in his biggest win yet, a group of very large, very serious-looking security guards surrounded his table. The jig was up. Larry's reign as the psychic gambler came to a crashing halt, and he was escorted out of the casino, banned for life, and probably lucky he wasn't swimming with the fishes. The lesson here: even if you have psychic powers, gambling is still a risky business. It's probably best to stick to scratch-off tickets and leave the mind games to the professionals. All right, imagine this. You're lounging on the couch, binging your favorite show, surrounded by empty pizza boxes and dirty laundry. Life is good, right? But then you remember you're supposed to be cleaning, doing laundry, and maybe even making a decent meal for once. Ugh, the worst. But what if, instead of actually doing those chores, you could just make someone else do them with the power of your mind? Enter masterful Matt, our resident mind control maestro. Matt had the power of persuasion, not the charming kind, but the I can make you do my bidding kind, and boy, did he abuse it. At first it was just little things, making his roommate take out the trash, convincing the barista to give him free coffee, the usual mind control shenanigans. But then Matt, he got power hungry. He started controlling people on the street, making them dance like chickens, sing embarrassing songs, just your typical harmless mind control pranks. But pretty soon, Matt's idea of harmless took a turn for the worse. He started controlling people's food choices, forcing them to eat broccoli and tofu instead of pizza and ice cream. He even made a politician confess their deepest, darkest secrets on live TV. Now, I know what you're thinking. Matt, you had one job. Use your powers for good, like making everyone do the Macarena in perfect unison. And yeah, we all agree, that would have been epic. But Matt's little mind control spree couldn't last forever. People started catching on, whispering about the guy who could control your every thought. One day, Matt tried to control the mind of a very important person, let's just say someone with access to really big, scary weapons. Big mistake. The government swooped in, captured Matt, and shipped him off to a secret location where they're probably still trying to figure out how to turn his mind control into a weapon. Moral of the story: mind control might seem like a sweet deal, but it's a slippery slope, my friends. One minute you're making people do your laundry, the next you're accidentally starting an international incident. Maybe just stick to asking nicely, or, offer pizza. Pizza usually works. Okay, let's talk about astral projection, the ability to separate your spirit from your body and travel to different realms. Sounds pretty cool, right? Exploring the universe from the comfort of your own spirit? Sign me up. But as our next psychic adventurer, Astral Andy, found out, there are rules even in the astral plane. See, Andy, he was a bit of a free spirit, literally. He loved projecting his astral form all over the place. He'd visit the pyramids of Egypt, hang 10 with the surfers in Hawaii, even sneak into sold-out concerts, all without leaving his room. Pretty sweet deal, right? Except Andy, he wasn't big on boundaries. He started astral projecting into people's houses. At first it was harmless curiosity. He'd watch people cooking dinner, arguing over the TV remote, you know, the usual mundane stuff. But then Andy got a little nosy. He started eavesdropping on private conversations, peeking into people's bedrooms. Creepy, Andy. And even reading their diaries. Double creepy. Now, imagine sitting at home minding your own business when suddenly you feel a cold chill, like someone's watching you. That's what it was like being around Andy. People started feeling violated, like their privacy had been invaded by a ghost they couldn't even see. Things came to a head when Andy made the mistake of astral projecting into a top-secret government facility. He thought he was being sneaky, floating through walls, reading classified documents. You know, the usual astral espionage. But little did Andy know the government had some pretty sophisticated ghost-detecting equipment. They caught him red-handed, or should I say, red-spirited. Andy's astral form was yanked back to his body, and he found himself surrounded by guys in black suits holding very real, very unastral handcuffs. Turns out, even in the spirit world, trespassing is still trespassing. The lesson here: astral projection might be a wild ride, but respect people's privacy even if their walls can't stop you. You never know when you might bump into some unexpected security measures, both in this realm and the next. Chapter 7, Psychic Surgery. When your operating room is your mind. All right, let's talk about psychic surgery, the idea of using your mind to heal people's bodies. Sounds pretty amazing, right? No scalpels, no anesthesia, just pure mental energy fixing you up from the inside out. Well, our next psychic friend, Healing Harry, he thought he was the next best thing since penicillin. Harry discovered he had a knack for manipulating energy, specifically the kind that flows through living beings. He started small, healing paper cuts, curing headaches, even helping his grandma with her arthritis. Word spread about Harry's gift, and soon people were lining up at his door, desperate for his help. Now I know what you're thinking. Harry, you're a hero. You could heal the sick, cure diseases, maybe even get a Nobel Prize. And yeah, Harry thought so too. But here's the thing about practicing medicine. It requires a lot more than good intentions and a steady hand. Or in Harry's case, a focused mind. See Harry, he skipped a few steps. He didn't bother with things like medical school licenses or, you know, basic anatomy. He just went with his gut, or rather his mind, and things got messy. Don't get me wrong, Harry had some successes. He cured people of chronic pain, helped mend broken bones, even removed a stubborn wart or two. But then there were the less successful cases, like the time he accidentally switched a guy's personality with his pet goldfish. Don't ask. Or the time he tried to remove a woman's appendix and accidentally gave her telekinetic powers instead. Talk about a side effect. Word spread about Harry's unconventional methods, and the medical board, they were not amused. They swooped in, shut down Harry's operation, and confiscated his collection of healing crystals and essential oils. Turns out practicing medicine without a license is frowned upon, even if you're doing it with your mind. The lesson here? Psychic healing might be a real thing, but maybe leave the brain surgery to the professionals. And if you do find yourself with a sudden craving for fish flakes and the urge to move things with your mind, you might want to give Harry a call. Or, you know, a qualified medical professional. Chapter 8, Telepathic Trespassing. The mind is your castle, unless someone can walk through walls. All right, we've all had that moment where we wished we could communicate telepathically. No more misinterpreting texts, no more awkward phone calls, just pure, unfiltered thoughts beaming straight into someone's brain. Sounds pretty convenient, right? Well, Telepathic Tom, our next psychic buddy, he had this ability. And let's just say he didn't always use it for good. Tom, he loved the power of instant communication. He could chat with his buddies across town, order pizza without saying a word, even win arguments with his girlfriend before they even started. Don't lie, we've all been tempted. But then Tom, he got a little bold. He started using his telepathy to eavesdrop on other people's conversations, their private thoughts, even their dreams. Now, imagine this. You're walking down the street minding your own business when suddenly you hear a voice in your head and it's not your own. That's That's what it was like being around Tom. People started freaking out, thinking they were going crazy, hearing voices, the whole 9 yards, but it got worse. Tom, he got cocky. He started using his telepathy to mess with people, planting thoughts in their heads, making them question their sanity, even making them do silly things in public, like singing opera in the grocery store or proposing to a mannequin. True story, asked Tom. Word got around about the telepathic prankster, and people started avoiding Tom like the plague. They'd wear tinfoil hats, talk in code, even resort to writing notes instead of speaking out loud, all to avoid Tom's intrusive thoughts. One day, Tom made the mistake of trying to telepathically communicate with a very powerful psychic, someone who could not only read minds but also control them. Big mistake. Tom's mind was invaded, his thoughts scrambled, and he was left babbling like a baby for weeks. Turns out, even in the world of telepathy, it's best to ask permission before entering someone's mind. It's just common courtesy. Chapter 9. Illegal Time Manipulation. Don't mess with the space-time continuum, bro. Alright, who hasn't wished they could control time? Rewind those embarrassing moments, fast forward through boring meetings, maybe even hit the snooze button on Monday morning without consequences. Well, our next psychic pal, Temporal Tim, he had the power to manipulate time, and let me tell you, it was a wild ride. Tim, he could slow down time, speed it up, even rewind it a few seconds, just your basic time-bending abilities. At first, he used his powers for good, like saving a kid from getting hit by a car, rewind, winning a pie-eating contest, slow-mo, and even getting an extra hour of sleep, time warp. But then Tim, he got a little ambitious. He started using his powers for personal gain, like slowing down time at the casino to win big at roulette. The house always wins, except when it doesn't. Speeding up time to make his workday go by faster. Who needs a coffee break when you can manipulate the space-time continuum? And even rewinding time to undo those embarrassing moments we all have. We've all been there, Tim. But here's the thing about messing with time. It's kind of a big deal. The universe, it likes things a certain way, and when you start messing with the fabric of reality, well, let's just say it tends to get a little glitchy. People started noticing weird things happening around Tim. Clocks would spin backward, conversations would repeat, and sometimes people would swear they saw 2 of him at once. One day, Tim made the ultimate mistake. He tried to rewind time to prevent a bad breakup with his girlfriend. Big mistake. The universe, it doesn't like being manipulated, especially when it comes to matters of the heart. Time itself seemed to unravel, creating a temporal anomaly that threatened to suck Tim and everyone around him into a black hole of his own making. Luckily, before things got too out of hand, a group of very serious-looking individuals in lab coats appeared, wielding strange devices that hummed with temporal energy. They were the timekeepers, protectors of the space-time continuum, and they were not happy with Tim. They neutralized his powers, repaired the temporal damage, and gave Tim a stern talking to about the dangers of messing with time. The lesson here? Time travel might be tempting, but it's best left to the professionals, or at least those who have a solid understanding of theoretical physics and a healthy respect for the delicate balance of the universe, or, just stick to setting your alarm clock like the rest of us. Chapter 10. Psychic Public Disturbance. With great power comes great responsibility and probably a restraining order. All right, let's be real. Who hasn't fantasized about using their superpowers to cause a little chaos? Imagine shutting down a boring meeting with a well-placed telekinetic paper airplane, levitating above rush hour traffic, or maybe even using your mind control to make everyone wear matching socks. Harmless fun, right? Well, our final psychic friend, Chaotic Charlie, he took this idea and ran with it, straight into a brick wall of legal trouble. Charlie, he had a bit of everything: telekinesis, mind control, a dash of pyromancy, because why not, and absolutely zero impulse control. At first, it was just harmless pranks. He'd make traffic lights change color randomly, levitate objects in department stores, even make politicians say silly things during speeches. Okay, maybe that one wasn't so harmless. But Charlie, he craved attention. The bigger, the better. He started causing major disruptions, like shutting down entire power grids with a flick of his wrist, levitating cars during rush hour, and even creating those crop circles that conspiracy theorists love so much. Sorry to disappoint, guys, it was just Charlie messing around. Now imagine this. You're just trying to go about your day, grab a coffee, catch a movie, you know, the usual, when suddenly the world around you starts going haywire. Lights flicker, objects fly, and people are speaking in tongues. That's what it was like living in Charlie's world. People were terrified, the media went into a frenzy, and the government, well, they didn't know what to make of it. Was it an alien invasion? A secret government experiment gone wrong? Or just one dude with too much time and psychic energy on his hands? They eventually tracked down Charlie, but apprehending him was a whole other story. It took a team of specially trained agents, armed with tranquilizer darts and psychic dampeners, to finally subdue Charlie and contain his powers. The lesson here: psychic powers are awesome, but using them to cause mass panic and public disturbance? Not so much. With great power comes great responsibility and probably a hefty fine, a lengthy prison sentence, and a permanent spot on the government's watch list. So maybe just stick to using your powers for good, or at least for something that won't land you on the evening news. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed our journey into the world of psychic lawbreakers. Remember, just because you have superpowers doesn't mean you're above the law. Unless you can teleport to a different dimension, then maybe you're in the clear. But seriously, folks, let's leave the mind control, time travel, and telepathic shenanigans to the professionals, or at least to the fictional characters in comic books and movies. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more crazy content. And if you ever find yourself face to face with a psychic criminal, just remember, run. Or, you know, call the authorities. They're probably better equipped to handle mind-bending situations than we are. See you next time.